Next at 4, another celebrity takes their own life. The world reacts to Anthony Bourdain's suicide, including San Diego culinary students inspired by the world-traveling chef.
Then a former NFL tight end and son of a Chargers Hall of Famer walks out of jail after being arrested for burglary at an Encinitas mobile home park.
And an SUV bursts into flames right outside of a National City fire station. But it's who is behind the wheel that's raising eyebrows. The Fox 5 News at 4 starts right now.
Live from San Diego, this is the Fox 5 News at 4.
A man with a job most people would do for free was found dead this morning, the second celebrity this week to commit suicide. Anthony Bourdain, who hosted CNN's Parts Unknown, was found dead this morning in a hotel room in France where he was filming a new show.
Bourdain was born in New York City. He grew up in New Jersey, but he was best known for being a world traveler and taking his viewers along with him. He was 61 years old and leaves behind an 11-year-old daughter. Laura Ingle starts us off.
That was very shocking. When I woke up this morning, Anthony Bourdain is dead.
President Trump reacting to the news. Fearless culinary explorer Anthony Bourdain found dead early Friday in France, where he was working on an upcoming episode of his show.
I enjoyed his show. He was quite a character, I will say, but so I just want to extend my condolences.
Bourdain was found inside this hotel by fellow chef Eric Rupert. The cause of death, suicide by hanging. Bourdain's girlfriend, Asia Argento, speaking out on Twitter saying, quote, Anthony gave all of himself in everything that he did. His brilliant, fearless spirit touched and inspired so many, and his generosity knew no bounds. He was my love, my rock, my protector. I am beyond devastated. My thoughts are with his family. I would ask that you respect their privacy and mine. Bourdain first made a name for himself as the chef at several high-profile New York City restaurants. But the book and then TV show Kitchen Confidential made him a star. He was open about his battles with various drugs, including heroin, and spoke about his struggles in a 2010 interview.
I'm the worst person in the world to look to for a message. I'm a bad role model. I'm a bad advocate. If anything, the book's about mixed emotions, a continuing argument with myself on a lot of issues.
In a People magazine article published just last month, Bourdain said he'd rather die in the saddle than retire. Anthony Bourdain was 61. In New York, Laura Ingle, Fox News.
And Bourdain's death comes as a new report from the CDC reveals a startling and disturbing trend on suicides. Take a look at this map behind me. Nationwide, they've increased 30% since 1999. In 2016, 45,000 people took their own life, and more than half did not have a known mental health diagnosis. In those cases, researchers found problems in a relationship or loss thereof was the trigger in suicides. California's suicide increase was relatively on the low end, as you can tell from this map here. The state's seen an increase in the last 15 years, 6 to 18%. North Dakota, on the other hand, and many of the states in the Midwest saw a huge spike in the last 15 years. North Dakota itself up 60%.
Meanwhile, there's been a lot of public reaction, as we saw in that first piece by Laura Ingle, to Bourdain's death today. With a look at that part of the story, let's get it over to our Phil Blauer.
Andrew, we're going to begin with President Barack Obama. He said, low plastic stool, cheap but delicious noodles, cold Hanoi beer. This is all on Twitter today. This is how I'll remember Tony. He taught us about food, but more importantly about its ability to bring us together, to make us a little less afraid of the unknown. We'll miss him. This coming in from Chef Gordon Ramsay, stunned and saddened by the loss of Anthony Bourdain. He brought the world into our homes and inspired so many people to explore cultures and cities through their food. And from model Christy Teigen, who's also written a cookbook, Anthony, one of my idols, unapologetic, passionate, one of the best storytellers on the planet. Thanks for making food so exciting, always standing up for everything right, horrible. Why? Be at peace now. And from astronaut Scott Kelly, just saw the sad news that Anthony Bourdain has died. I watched his show when I was in space. It made me feel more connected to the planet, its people and cultures, and made my time there more palatable. He inspired me to see the world up close. Jen?
All right, Phil, and San Diego culinary students are also reacting. In fact, several Fox 5 spoke to credit Bourdain with inspiring their cooking career.
Fox 5's Sharon Chen is live for us at the San Diego Culinary Institute with their stories. Sharon.
Well, Andrew and Jen, as you can imagine, Anthony Bourdain has been the topic here today for many of the students, the ones that you see here. This is the man that ignited their passion for food, but he also taught them about the world and culture that comes with it. At the San Diego Culinary Institute, chefs of tomorrow learn about the cutting edge of food prep. For many students here, Anthony Bourdain was what ignited their passion for food. Through his numerous travel food shows of no reservations to the latest parts unknown, these students said Bourdain not only taught them about the world, but also about its cultures and, of course, the food. Samantha Baker told Fox 5, Bourdain was the ultimate role model.
His show No Reservations came out when I was about 15 or 16 years old, and I did watch that. It kind of enlightened my world as far as viewing the world and food within the world. To respect a culture enough to develop their type of food, and that's something that he brought into my living room when I was really young, and I've never forgotten about it.
Today we also reached out to several of San Diego's chefs, but many were too distraught to speak with Fox 5. Here in La Mesa, Sharon Chen, Fox 5 News.
If you or someone you know needs someone to talk to, the crisis hotline number and website are up on your screen right now. And it's important to know this is not just for people who are in crisis right now. It's really open for anyone who needs to talk. Oftentimes helpful to talk before you get to that point. We also have all of these resources up on the Fox 5 app.
There is developing news this afternoon about San Diego Padres pitcher Jose Torres. We learned that the 24-year-old has now been suspended for the rest of the season by Major League Baseball for being in violation of the league's domestic violence policy. This comes from an incident that happened at his house in Phoenix in December involving his wife when he's accused of waving a gun at her and making threats. He wasn't even brought in for spring training for the Padres, as he has been now on the team's restricted list throughout the year. He has accepted this suspension. He's agreed not to appeal it. He is now out without pay for the rest of 2018. The team released a statement saying that they support the decision and that they will continue to support the league's efforts to educate players and to prevent instances like this from happening in the future. Meantime, a former NFL player and son of a legendary Charger bonded out of the San Diego County Jail this morning.
Kellen Winslow Jr. was arrested yesterday at a mobile home park in Encinitas, accused of burglary. Fox 5's Jason Sloss joins us live and has more on his arrest. Jason.
Yeah, we're right outside the Park Encinitas mobile home park where Kellen Winslow Jr. is suspected of burglarizing one of the homes here. We'll give you a look at the 34-year-old Winslow, who was booked into the Vista Detention Facility, posted bail this morning. The incident happened around 2:30 yesterday afternoon. A resident of the mobile home park told sheriff's investigators he saw Winslow walk into a neighbor's home. He confronted Winslow because he didn't recognize him and questioned him about what he was doing. Investigators say Winslow drove off in an SUV that deputies spotted a short time later. They made a stop and Winslow was identified as the burglary suspect. Winslow was a tight end in the NFL for 10 seasons. He retired in 2013. Winslow graduated from Scripps Ranch High School. His father, also a tight end and a Hall of Famer with the Chargers. So just a bizarre incident that's got neighbors really baffled.
I think it's a surprise, the name involved in that situation. But there's other sports people, relative of, similar situations. And it's hard to know what real people's lives, why or what for they're doing it.
Now, we reached out to the agency representing Winslow and just received this statement from his attorney. Mr. Winslow emphatically denies committing any burglary. He would have no need to burglarize or steal anything from anyone at a trailer park. He looks forward to being vindicated once this matter is fully investigated and adjudicated through the court system. Winslow is scheduled to be arraigned next Thursday in Vista. Live in Encinitas, Jason Sloss, Fox 5 News.
All right, Jason, thank you. There has been significant progress made on a fire that burned this week in the East County, as we are now also learning what likely sparked it. Investigators say it was caused by a campfire on private property. The recycle fire in Campo, now 85% contained. It burned nearly 300 acres since it started on Wednesday near Recycle Road.
Paul Manafort is facing more federal charges. A grand jury indicted him with trying to obstruct justice by basically trying to get a witness to lie for him about his involvement with Russia. Special counsel Robert Mueller says Manafort and an associate tried to contact and influence 2 witnesses, in fact, between February and April. We first learned about this earlier this week, but today Manafort was actually charged. He's already facing a slew of other charges and 2 trials later this year.
The G7 summit is underway in Canada, where President Trump's tariffs are among the key topics up for discussion, but that's not all.
Garrett Tenney has the latest for us in Washington.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau welcoming the group of 7 leaders to Quebec, including President Trump. Recent tension between the North American neighbors not evident as they greeted each other, despite Trudeau's opposition to the president's tariffs on steel and aluminum imports.
We are not going to live with the deals the way they are. European Union treats us very unfairly. Canada, very unfairly. Mexico, very unfairly. With that being said, I think we'll probably very easily make a deal.
Trade not the only topic of concern. President Trump calling for Russia to be welcomed back into the group. Moscow was removed from what was then the G8 back in 2014 after invading and then annexing Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula.
Whether you like it or not, and it may not be politically correct, but we have a world to run. And in the G7, which used to be the G8, they threw Russia out. They should let Russia come back in, because we should have Russia at the negotiating table.
Italy's new leader says he supports the White House's stance, but not everyone is in agreement.
I see a lot of speculation about G6 plus 1 or G7 minus 1 or G7 plus 1, but let's leave 7 as it is.
So, Stormy, you want to bring a case? Let me cross-examine you. The business you were in entitles you to no degree of giving your credibility any weight. I mean, she has no reputation. If you're going to sell your body for money, you just don't have a reputation.
Well, that was President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, there attacking Stormy Daniels in an appearance in Israel this week. At that same conference, Giuliani also said First Lady Melania Trump believes her husband's denial of his involvement with Daniels. And that exchange now has the First Lady and Giuliani at odds. Giuliani's comments were made, and then a spokeswoman for Mrs. Trump said that she does not believe Mrs. Trump has ever discussed any of her thoughts on anything with Mr. Giuliani. Now, Giuliani is sort of backtracking on those comments, saying actually it was his opinion that the First Lady believes her husband. Ahead, while the accused Golden State Killer sits behind bars, his ex-wife, who was married to him during the time of the crime spree, releases a statement. What it said next.
Plus, a police chase ends in a fiery crash, but it's where it happened and who was behind the wheel that is the most surprising part of this story. That's right after the break.
And the heat is on, 76 downtown, 6 degrees warmer than normal. Temperatures going up into the weekend. Details coming up.
And then all new at 5 o'clock, a parent is suing her son's school district after she says the special needs student was tased 7 times. The school's excuse for the punishment.
You're watching the Fox 5 News at 4.